right, hi. Right, we have a joiner. Good morning. So far it's just the two of us. We'll see if anyone else decides to hop on, but we'll get started. Good morning, almost afternoon. This is Prenatal Yoga. My name is Maureen. Welcome, thanks for joining me. Let's go ahead and get seated, get started on our mats. Take a hold of any props you may have at home that you'd like to use. If you have a bolster and 2 blocks, of course, grab those. If you do not, no worries. We will get started here. So let's begin today in the usual, just comfortable seated position. Take a seat onto your mat. Use whatever props you would like to help you sit up tall. So that may mean having a block or 2 underneath your seat, sitting on a chair, or perhaps just adding a little blanket or towel underneath the hips. Any height that allows you to sit upright comfortably. So we can begin with some breath work. So I'm just going to guide us through a little bit of breath work before we add that movement in. So once you have a comfortable seat, let's do this. Just start by resting the hands on the knees. So decide today what sensation you would like to cultivate. So if you are feeling a little kind of frantic, the thoughts are kind of rattling around in the brain and it's difficult to just kind of calm yourself, let your palms face down. And that's a nice way to kind of seal that grounded sensation. So palms facing down lets us feel a little bit more connected, a little bit more anchored, and sometimes we really need that. And if you're feeling kind of tired, sluggish, heavy, any of those sensations that feel like they're a little too extreme in the body, turn your palms up, let them face upward, so you can feel a little bit lighter, a little bit more lifted, a little bit more open and free. So figuring out which sensation is going to suit you today, what you're going to need. And then once you have a comfortable seat, decided where you'd like to place your hands, take a moment to notice the length of your spine. See if you can sit upright a little bit more. See if you can kind of stretch all the way through the upper body, all the way up to the top of the head. Let the top of the head stretch a little higher to the ceiling. And then if you haven't already, close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, start to notice your body, notice the sensations in the body, what areas may feel a little tenser, a little more tight, what areas feel a little bit more relaxed. And see if you can kind of even out those sensations. So the areas that feel a little too kind of relaxed and heavy, allow them to feel a little bit more active. So maybe that's kind of engaging and anchoring the sitting bones into your mat or into whatever you're seated upon. And notice if there's those areas that feel a little tenser. A lot of times that can be the neck and the shoulders. And see if you can breathe a little bit more calm into those parts of the body. And as you become more aware of your breath, begin to even out the breath. So the inhales match the exhales. Exhales match the inhales. And then let's start a little bit of breath awareness, the way the breath moves into the body and out of the body. So on your next inhale, envision that breath starting from the ground below you. And then kind of bring your awareness to the breath traveling all the way up the length of the spine, reaching to the top of the head. And then with your exhale, envision that breath moving all the way back down and into the ground below you, as if you're breathing in a little bit more of a linear fashion. So kind of up and down the length of the spine. Inhales, draw it all the way up into the body. Exhales, release it all the way back down. And now adding on to that, as you inhale and feel that breath draw all the way up into the body, instead of just linear, think of the breath being more expansive, branching out like tree branches. So it starts to move outward, maybe into the limbs as well. So you're kind of expanding out. And then as you exhale, just kind of contracting a little bit, drawing it all the way back in and down. And then take a few breaths like that, just kind of working to let the breath open you up a bit more. Then adding just a little bit more of a visual element. If you're like me, more of a visual person, a visual learner, let's assign the breath a color. So imagine whatever color brings you joy, makes you happy. Visualize that color as if it were something that you could draw into the body, inhaling it all the way into the body so it fills you up completely. And with your exhale, release every bit of that color out of the body, letting it kind of paint the room. And then just keep going like that, a few breaths so that you're drinking in that color, letting it fill the whole body. And with your exhale, letting every single bit of it all the way out so that the inhales are complete and full and the exhales are just as complete and full. And then go ahead and bring your hands together in front of your heart. Press the palms together, fingers point up to the chin, thumbs just resting gently at your sternum or breastbone. And take another inhale here, sitting up nice and tall. As you exhale, just draw the chin in towards the chest. And then releasing your hands back onto your knees, palms up or palms down. And then slowly let your eyes open, so you're gazing at the ground in front of your legs. And then lift your head slowly, chin parallel to the ground. And let's switch the way we're seated for a moment. We're going to stay seated a little bit longer. If you have your one leg crossed in front, switch that, other leg crossed. And then take a moment to sit tall once again. And then let's do a little bit of stretches for the neck, the shoulders, the upper body. Draw your chin back down towards your chest. So keep the back body nice and long. Continue to sit tall, chin to the chest. Begin to slowly nod your head over toward the right. So you're rolling your head towards the right and looking forward again so that you're drawing your right ear towards your right shoulder and drawing your left shoulder down a little further. And then slowly draw the chin all the way back down to the chest, passing through center as you roll it over to the other side. And then bringing it all the way back down through center. And then lifting your head, coming back to neutral. And then just begin to lean the head back a bit. Notice if the shoulders start to hunch up, draw them back down, as if you're pointing your chin up towards the ceiling, lifting your chest to the ceiling as well. And then draw it back to center, gazing ahead. And then stretch your right arm straight out in front of you, pressing the palm forward. So as if you're just saying stop. And then go ahead and grab the fingers of that hand with your left hand. Push the heel of the hand further forward as you draw the fingers a little further back towards your right shoulder. So if you need a sideways visual, I'm doing this, just getting a nice little stretch in the tendons of the wrists. So this will be helpful if you're experiencing any carpal tunnel syndrome during pregnancy. Just little gentle stretches here may help alleviate some of that pressure. And then go ahead and release. Now point your fingers down. So you're doing this. And then go ahead and cup the top of the hand, and then do the same thing. Draw it towards you so that you're moving the wrist forward and just drawing the fingers a little closer towards you. Just stretching the front of the wrist. And make sure you're not forcing anything, just do a little gentle stretch. And then go ahead and release that, switching sides. So palm forward with the left hand, grabbing the fingers. Then any amount as you draw the fingers back, move that base of the palm forward away from your left shoulder. And then release, point the fingers down, and then just gently cupping the top of the hand. So it's as if you're pressing kind of the base of the fingers toward the shoulder, moving the front of the wrist away from you. And then release that, draw the hands together at the heart, sit up tall. And then interlace your fingers in front of your chest. And then turn the heels of the hands forward, press the palms away from you, straighten the arms with the fingers interlaced. Continue to sit up tall. On your inhale, begin to take the hands higher and higher. Now start to work into the shoulders a bit. Notice if the shoulders hunch. Stop when they would start to do that and see if you can kind of play with your edge, seeing how high you can bring the hands while keeping the arms straight and the shoulders really drawing down the back away from the ears. Take another inhale, sit up even taller. With your exhale, start a gentle twist of the upper body to the right, just turning as far as you can comfortably go. And then when you have turned towards that side, carefully unclasp the fingers, stretch the arms out really wide as you start to take the hands down to the ground. So let your front left hand cross to the opposite knee, and then place the right hand behind you. Palm fingertips or on a prop if you need a little elevation, or if you're seated upon something. And then sit up nice and tall as you let your upper body gently open towards the right a little bit more. And then exhale, unwind, facing forward, draw the hands back to the heart, sit up tall once again. This time as you interlace the fingers, move the other thumb in front. So switch the way the fingers are crossed. And then flexing the palms as you push the backs of the hands away from your chest, getting the arms really straight and really working the shoulders down the back. Inhaling as you elevate the hands above the heart and continue to go higher. So it may be a little bit lower for you, it may be a little bit higher for you, just depending on how the shoulders are opening up. Make sure they don't hunch, make sure the elbows don't bend. Take another inhale, really work a taller seat. And then as you exhale, begin that slow turning to the left. Just letting that twist travel up the length of the spine. And then when you're ready, unclasp and let the arms stretch wide away from one another before you bring the hands down. And then continue to sit tall as you find that opposite knee with your right hand and push into the ground behind you with your left hand. It's a nice vertical line through the upper body as you sit tall and begin to rotate maybe a little bit more with each exhale. And then go ahead, release, unwind. Come back through center and stretch your arms out. Take a moment to really work a nice lifted upper body and then really work the fingertips to stretch as far apart as they can. And then rotate the palms up. As you inhale, bring the arms overhead. Now lean the head back, point the chin towards the ceiling as you look up. Maybe keep the hands a little bit wider if that's better for the shoulders. Take another inhale, sit up taller, reach higher. And then with your next exhale, bend the elbows, press the palms together, draw the hands down to the heart. Once more, just gently bow the chin to the chest. And then lift the head, release the hands. Let's come off of our seat, make your way to hands and knees. And then set up in a tabletop position, kneeling on your mat. You can place a blanket, a towel, or something under the knees if that's more comfortable, if your knees are sensitive. Once you're set up on all fours, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, start to move through cat and cow. Inhale, lightly draw the heart forward as you gaze ahead. With your exhale, really round the upper back as you push the hands into the mat. Then inhale it, heart forward again. Moving with your breath pace, exhale back to cat's breath, gazing toward the belly. Do that a few times with cat and cow, inhaling and exhaling, breathing through your nostrils. And then go ahead and come to neutral. Take the knees a little bit wider as you start to wag the hips a little side to side. And then we're going to move through some hip circles. Shift towards your heels. Roll to the opposite side, move forward over the hands, and then rotate a few times like that. And then you can continue breathing in and out through your nose. Or note if you can take your next inhale through the nose and open your mouth and give a audible sigh. If that helps to relax the body a little bit more, maybe let go of some tension, some stress that you are holding on to that you weren't aware of. Take those open mouth sighs as often as you'd like. Circle the other way a few times if you haven't already, reverse directions. And then go ahead and come back through center here. Keep the knees wide. Tuck your toes behind your knees. Lift your knees up. Come into downward facing dog. Now, as you come into your down dog, pull the hips as far toward the back of your mat as you can. Bend one knee a lot. Yeah. Straighten the other leg as much as you can to stretch the calf. Switch sides. And then do that a few times, just walking out the legs, maybe even letting the hips get into it and wag a bit side to side as you pedal the feet. And if you feel like your stance wants to be a little bit wider, take your feet out as wide as your mat, as much distance between the feet as you need to have space for your belly and give yourself a little bit more of a stable feeling in the hips. So any stance is going to be wide during your prenatal practice. So feet can be as wide apart as you need. And then eventually still the pedaling with the feet. Keep the knees as bent as you'd like as well. Maybe soften them a bit so you can really push into the hands and stretch up away from the front of your mat, lifting your hips high and behind you as far as they'll go. All right, and then go ahead and take the knees back down. And then take the knees maybe a little bit closer together. Tuck your toes under, walk your hands to your knees, come up to kneeling. And then do this for me. Clasp your hands behind your back. Roll your shoulders behind you. And then start to straighten the arms, any amount. And then lift the chest up, roll the shoulders further back, lean the head back. If this starts to go into the lower back, visualize lifting your back ribs up off of your waist, creating more space for the lower back so that you can open the chest and stretch into the shoulders. Maybe even take the hands a little further away from the back body. And then go ahead and unclasp, stretch your arms out, palms up as you reach for the ceiling, and then exhale, bring the hands down to the heart. And then bring yourself forward, make your way back to all fours. Now I'm going to have us do a deeper shoulder stretch here. So I'm going to turn forward. My floor is a little dirty here. So you're on hands and knees, wrists under shoulders. You can have the knees hips distance, or you can once again take them wider for a little bit more space. So take an inhale and extend your right arm straight out to the right. And then push into the left hand, turn your chest open to the right, and start to raise that right arm towards the ceiling. So go as high as you'd like, maybe lean the head back towards the left so you can really stretch across the chest. And then begin to take it back down to where you were before, and then thread your right arm underneath your left, stretch it all the way to the opposite side, bend your left elbow, and go ahead and take the temple to rest on the mat. So your bottom right arm is straight and you're stretching it across. And then maybe keep your left hand where it is. You can crawl it forward and extend through that arm. You can even stretch that arm up to the ceiling. Take the arm behind you and do a little shoulder stretch from that top shoulder if you like. And then eventually bring that left hand back down where it was, just right next to your face. Push into the ground. Very carefully come back upright. Place your right hand underneath the shoulder, so you're back to neutral. And then let's take the other side, left arm over to the side, and then begin to turn towards that side of the room as you raise that arm up. If you want to go a little further, lean the head back and really stretch open. And then begin to take it back down. And then when you're ready, reach it underneath your right arm. Stretch it even further across. Lay the whole length of the arm down and then rest your head onto the mat. And then once you're in position there, decide what you'd like to do with that right arm. If you want to just keep it where it is, crawl it forward, or take it up and wrap it behind the back. And then taking your right hand back onto the mat once it's in position. Slowly press down to rise back up, return to hands and knees. All right, so staying here on hands and knees, let's do this. Step your right foot back, coming onto the ball of the foot. Then lift your left shin up away from the mat. Move it over to the left a little bit and settle it down. So it's a little bit more angled, so this will be better for stability. Then you're going to spin onto the sole of your back right foot. Keep it sealed where it is, and then press into your left hand. If you need a little more stability, you can take the left hand forward or over to the left a little bit as well. And you're going to open yourself into a modified side plank, reaching your right hand straight to the ceiling. Press into that back foot a lot, so use that back leg. And then maybe stay here, or maybe turn the right palm to face the front of your mat, and then extend that arm over the ear. So you're getting a really big side stretch along that whole top right side of the body. Notice what's going on with the bottom shoulder. Make sure it's not hunching into the ear. Draw it back a bit more. Maybe micro bend your bottom elbow a little bit more as well. And then raise that arm nice and high to the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale, slowly turn to face your mat. Bring your right hand down. And then gently take the right knee down. Come back through neutral on all fours, hands and knees. And then just move through a little bit of cat and cow for a moment before we take that other side. So you're just rocking it back and forth, moving your body with your breath. I'm going to turn around for the other side. And then settling back to neutral on all fours, step your left foot back, coming onto the ball of the foot, sealing it. And then lifting the bottom right shin, angle it over to the side a little bit. So it has a little bit more surface contact with your mat. And then maybe you keep your right hand where it is, or if you felt like you needed to move it forward a bit more or over towards the side, go ahead and do that. When you're ready, spin the back foot down, seal it firmly, and then start to open your chest as you raise that left arm up. Push into the back foot. Little teeny bend of your bottom elbow so you're not locking into the joints. You're using the muscles. Then turning the top palm forward. Sweep it forward without the shoulder creeping to the ear. And then really press the back foot. Reach further forward with that top hand so you feel that lengthening all the way through the side body. And then inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, turning back to the ground, hands down, knee back down, and once again, a little bit of cat and cow. Okay, once you are back to neutral here, let's come back to a downward facing dog. Take your knees wider, tuck your toes, lift your knees up, push the hips up and back, and then find your downward facing dog. Really work the length through the upper body. Imagine someone that had a hold of your hips and was pulling it further back towards you, so feel that extension backward. Then keep that as you start to walk your hands back, back, back towards your feet. So you're going to come into a forward fold in the back of your mat. Soften your knees a bit. And then let yourself hang here as long as it's comfortable for you. You can clasp your arms. If you'd like to get a little bit deeper into this stretch, you can sway a little bit if that feels nice. And then I'm going to have you come into a squat here. So release your arms. So you may need something behind the heels or something for the seat. You're gonna come into Malasana. You're gonna let your toes turn out. Start to bend your knees, drop your seat so that you're coming into a squat here. So if this is uncomfortable, the heels can't get all the way down, place a blanket rolled up or towel or something there. Or you can also place props, bolster, or a block or two underneath your seat. So whatever you need to be able to get into the squat to make it more accessible. Once you're in it and you have whatever you need to set you up, go ahead and bring your elbows inside of your knees, push the hands together, and try to lift your chest up a little bit more. Draw the shoulders back. And then go ahead and let your elbows and knees press into one another. And then start to become a little bit more aware of your pelvic floor. Imagine lifting it up away from the ground as you press into the feet and press elbows and knees together. Now we're going to make our way up to stand. So if you need to, you can shift forward, hands down, and make your way that way. Or using the strength of your legs, push into the feet, lift your seat up and come all the way to stand. Once you're there, stretch your arms up to the ceiling, open the arms out to the sides, and take them all the way down next to you. Right. And then go ahead and turn the feet to face forward. And just stay standing for a moment at the back of your mat. Place your hands onto your hips. And then notice the weight in the feet. So make sure your feet are as wide as you need them to feel comfortable, stable for your hips and for your lower back. And then try to get the knees just a little bit soft, just slightly bent, and see if that allows you to distribute the weight into the feet a little more evenly instead of shifting so far forward into the balls of the feet that it starts to overarch the lumbar spine. So release that tailbone down, and then feel maybe the front of the pelvis lift up toward the belly a little bit more. And then take your hands to your heart. Lift the chest up, draw the shoulders back. Okay, then take an inhale, circle your arms all the way out, reach for the ceiling, maybe look up. On your exhale, pull the hands to the heart, bend the knees, lean forward, come all the way back down to a forward fold. Then take an inhale, place your hands onto your shins. You can even take them to your thighs so that you can extend your upper body forward. So you're just hovering above the ground and your spine is long. So take the rounding out of the back body. Bring your hands as high as you need. Maybe even shift the weight into the balls of the feet just a little bit more. And then as you exhale, slowly release back down, folding in. Now, bending your knees, drop your seat, sweep your arms forward and up. You're going to come into a chair pose. Now the weight is really far back into the heels. Sit the hips a little bit further down. And then as you inhale, press into the feet, start to straighten the legs, raise the arms up, and then exhale, draw the hands to the heart. Let's do that a bit with the breath. Inhale, float the arms out and up, reach for the ceiling. Exhale, soften, bend the knees, folding forward. Inhale, bring the hands to the shins, stretch halfway. Exhale, folding down again. Bending your knees, sweep your arms forward and up, drop your seat back and down. Exhale here. Then inhale, press to stand, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's do that 2 more times. Inhale, moving with your breath, arms up. Exhale, folding forward, melting all the way down. Inhale, hands to shins, stretch halfway. Exhale as you fold in again. Knees bending, drop your seat, arms forward and up. Exhale, go a little further deep into the chair. Press to stand, inhale, reach. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling again, move at your pace, arms up. Exhale, forward fold, melt it down. Inhale, halfway long spine. Exhale, folding again. Knees bending. Inhale, drop the seat, arms forward and up. Exhale, sit further down. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's do it once more. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, moving with your breath, coming back to the fold. Inhale, halfway, heart forward, exhale, folding down, bend your knees, seat drops down, exhale, stay in that chair. Inhale, press to stand, and then exhale, take the hands to the heart. All right, release your hands. Let's work on that chair pose a little bit more. We're gonna kind of connect to the pelvic floor once again. If you have a block, you can do this with or without a block. With the block is a nice way to kind of feel that connection to the pelvic floor a bit more. So if you have a block, stand where you can place it between your thighs. I'm not sure if you can see with my black background here, but I have the block, the narrow way, between my upper inner thighs. So once you have that block in position, standing with your feet parallel, go ahead and take your hands onto your hips. And then squeeze that block. If you don't have the block, contract your inner thighs together. And then imagine that you're lifting your pelvic floor up away from that block. And then we're going to do some dynamic movement with chair pose. So I'm going to turn back to the side. So you're going to inhale, come into chair. Arms forward and up, hips back and down. And then sit a little bit deeper, draw the inner thighs together, or squeeze the block. As you inhale, press to stand, straighten the legs, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's do that a few times. Inhale, come into chair. Exhale, sit lower into the chair. Squeeze the block, press to stand, inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale again, come into chair pose. Exhale, go deeper, weighten the heels. Squeeze as you inhale to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Once again, inhale. Come back to chair. Exhale, go low. Squeeze the block. Inhale, press to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. One more time. Inhale. Coming into chair. Exhale, go deep into the chair. Squeeze, press to stand. Stretch it up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Great. Let's go ahead. Take the block, move it aside. All right, now I'm going to have you take a wide-legged stance. So you can turn to the side so you can separate your feet nice and wide. Bring your hands to your hips. Okay, so feet start off parallel and standing nice and tall. Just feel a lift through the upper body. And then bend your right knee. And then from the hip socket, turn to point the toes straight forward. So knee tracks over the toes. Peel your left toes in a bit more, just a little bit, and then lift the heel just enough to slide it a little further back. So you're creating a 45-degree angle. And then make sure that your right heel, if you drew a line, would intersect with the arch of the back foot. So adjust your stance accordingly. If you need to widen it, take it a little wider. As you bend your right knee further, make sure it doesn't go past the ankle. So if your stance is a little too short and you're kind of here, open it out a little bit more. Yes, wiggle those right toes forward or the left heel back so you have a longer stance, so you have a strong bend of your front knee. Right. Then take the hands up from the hips, hold your rib cage, lift it up, square it back to the side. So the knee stays pointing forward, the upper body faces the side. Breathe into the hands, lift the chest, then stretch the arms out, draw the shoulders down the back, turn your head to look forward. Bend your right knee a little bit more. Then let's move in and out. Straighten the front leg as you inhale, raise the arms, maybe look up. Exhale, open it back to warrior two without leaning over the front leg. Then inhale, arms up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, open it up. Inhale, once again, reach. Exhale, warrior two. Once more, inhale. Now keep your front leg straight. Stretch the arms open. Then take the tiniest bend of your right knee, just a little bit so you're not locking into your joints, using the muscles of the legs. Start to stretch your right arm forward. Let your hips feel like they're shifting further back behind you as you reach out over the front leg. You're going to take your hand down, placing it onto your shin, left arm to the ceiling. You can also use props for this if you have a block or something to place your hand on behind the leg. You can do that if you need to take it higher. Make sure you're not pushing into your shin, you're moving your shin into your hand. So you're coming into a triangle pose. So even here, as you reach across the chest and stretch the top arm up. Pay attention to the legs and feet. Feel like you're dragging your feet towards one another and contracting those inner thighs, maybe even lifting the pelvic floor up away from the ground. And then pushing into those feet, inhale, come all the way upright. Taking your hands to your hips, bend your right knee a bit, parallel the feet. Right, so coming back through neutral, all 10 toes point forward for now, stand nice and tall. Then bend your left knee. Turn from the hip socket, point the toes straight forward, and then adjust your back foot so it's at that 45, toes in, heel further back. Make sure you're aligned heel to arch. And then if you need to take the stance longer, maybe wiggle the front toes forward, move the back heel back, and then keep the knee bending forward. Work your upper body to square to the side. So holding your rib cage, lift it up, breathe into the hands, create some space. Don't hunch the shoulders, and then take the arms and stretch all the way across through the fingertips. And then look past your left fingertips as you reach the arms out, bend your left knee a little more. And then moving in and out, straighten that leg, arms reach up, and then exhale back to warrior two, looking forward. Inhale, lift, exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reach it up, exhale, warrior two. Inhale again, lift, exhale, warrior two. Once more, inhale, reach up, lift, keep that left leg straight, open the arms back out. Then once again, work a little bend of your left knee. So notice the difference. If you end up just kind of sitting into the joints, it's pretty easy to do, especially during pregnancy. You want to protect the joints, engage the muscles around them. So feel this left thigh contract a bit more. And then begin to extend through the left, fingertips reaching forward, hips move back. Take your hand down, whatever height you need. So it may be fairly high on the shin so that it doesn't turn you towards the front of your mat or roll the top shoulder down, or maybe lower for some if your hamstrings are a little bit more open. And then really work to extend open across the chest. And then press into the outer edge of your back foot, but place a little more emphasis in the base of the big toe of your front foot so that you're not rolling to the outside of that foot. So that keeps the entire leg more engaged in the pose. Inner thighs draw together. Give them a little squeeze as you reach that right hand even higher in your Trikonasana. And then press the feet down, strengthen the legs as you inhale, rising back up. Bring your hands to your hips. Soften that front knee. Adjust the toes in, and then parallel both feet to one another. And then soften both knees, slide the heels in and then the toes, and then continue that till your feet are closer together. And then maybe shake them out a little bit. All right, so let's come to the front of the mat. And then go ahead and stand with your feet parallel. Once again, as wide of a stance as you need. Right. And then I'm going to have you come into chair pose, bend the knees, drop the hips, inhale, Utkatasana chair pose. Sit lower on the exhale, press to stand as you inhale. Draw the hands to the heart center. Bring your hands to your hips, step your left foot back. So just go ahead and walk it further, a little further back. Settle it down 45 degrees. Make sure your stance is wide enough. We're coming into a very open version of Warrior One. Normally this pose is set up heel to heel. Prenatal version, your feet are at least hips distance width, maybe wider. You can always walk your right foot to the right a little bit, but keep the knee pointing over the toes. Then keep the back leg straight. If your stance wasn't wide enough, wiggle the front toes forward or slide the back foot further back. And then keep the upper body squaring forward for this one. So your shoulders, chest, torso, even the hips, as much as possible, get them to square forward. And then holding your hips, notice if your pelvis is tipping down a bit more. Try to get the front of the pelvis upright so you feel a little more space for the lower back. It doesn't feel shortened. And then bend that knee forward. Beautiful. And then do this for me. Take your arms out wide. And then you're going to come into an eagle wrap. You're going to sweep your left arm high, your right arm low. Then you're either going to cross near the elbows, hug the shoulders, or if you're doing a full wrap, wind the arms around one another, pressing the palms together, and then lift the elbows higher. Lift the back ribs up off of the waist, press the back heel firmly, bend your right knee further forward. Try to get the entire upper body to rise up, maybe even look up. And then unwind the arms, stretch them out again, turn the palms up, raise the arms up to the ceiling, and then draw the hands to the heart. Bring your hands to your hips, and then looking forward, maybe leaning forward a bit, you can hop your back foot in a bit more, or maybe just one step to the top. You can always drag it in. Okay, take a moment once you're at the front of your mat. Bring your hands to your heart. Take an inhale, come into chair pose. Weight in the heels, bend the knees. Exhale, deeply chair. Inhale, come to stand. Draw the hands to the heart as you exhale. Bring the hands to your hips. Lift your right heel. Step the foot back. So if it didn't get far back enough, take your time, walk it further behind you, or start to wiggle the front toes forward. So when I was pregnant, my warrior one was a very, very wide stance because it just felt so much easier to get into the pose. Take it as wide as you need. You can have your feet maybe about at each side of the mat. So left toes still point forward, back foot 45, and then see if you can get everything to face forward once again. So you're not turning over towards the back leg, you're facing forward over the front bent knee. And then shoulders and chest and torso are a little more square. Hips won't get completely square, but that's the goal. Because the more you get them to face forward and stay on the back heel, you're gonna feel a fairly good stretch across the hip flexor, as long as you're not leaning forward or overarching the lower back. So you want to get a little more space for the back body, get the front body to rise up. And then keep that front knee bending forward. Stay on the back heel, stretch the arms open. And then start that circle. Right arm goes high, left arm goes low. And then cross maybe at or past the elbows. Shoulder hug, or if you're taking the eagle rep, press the palms. And this is a good way to know if you're square forward, if the elbows are kind of drifting over to the side of it. Try to get everything right in the center. Lift the elbows higher. Present the forearms forward. Bend your front knee further forward. Try to let the upper body feel like it's rising up away from the legs. Continue to breathe. Then unwind the arms. Stretch them open again. Palms up. Stretch it to the ceiling. Inhale. Warrior one. Arms up. Knee bending. Take another breath in. Exhale. Draw the hands to the heart. Bring the hands to your hips. Now lean forward a bit. Peel the back heel up. Maybe take a few steps to get it up. And then take it to the top of the mat. Right. Once again, inhale. Come into chair pose. Arms forward. Hips go back and down. Exhale. Go a little lower. Press to stand. Inhale. Reach up. And then exhale, draw the hands to the heart. All right, wonderful. Let's do this. Stand to face the side again, or where you can separate your feet fairly wide. And do a few dynamic squats. You're gonna turn your toes out 45-degree angles. Great, so making sure the knees are pointing over the toes, bend them just a bit, and just kind of track them in that direction. And then let your tailbone drop straight down. Let the knees bend. Keep the upper body lifted. Maybe stay here, maybe go even deeper if you want to really work the legs. You decide how far you go. When you're ready, stretch the arms out. Turn the palms up. Press to stand, straighten the legs. Reach to the ceiling, look up. Exhale, come back to the squat. Hands to heart, knees bend. Then stretch the arms out. Inhale, press to stand. Doing this a few times with your breath. Exhale, squat, arms open. Inhale, rise up. So you can take a gentle squat. You can go deep into it if you want to work the legs and build some strength. Move with your breath. Let's take one more. Exhale, sit into that squat. Maybe go a little lower. Then stay in the squat. Stretch the arms out. Turn the palms up. Slowly press to stand. Inhale, reach up nice and high. And then exhale, draw the hands down to heart center. Return your hands to your hips. Soften the knees and then slowly walk the feet closer together. Next, give them a little shake. Okay, let's come down to sit. Making your way seated onto your mat, I'm going to have you bend your knees and place your feet onto the mat. They can be as wide as you need. So toes are pointing forward, feet are hips distance or wider. You can have them as wide as my mat. And then just making sure the feet are close enough towards you that you can seal them all the way. You're going to place your hands behind you. And then just to keep the wrists safe, don't let the fingers point back. Point them maybe over to the sides or angle just slightly forward. And then you can have the hands shoulder width or a little wider. If the shoulders are tighter, have the hands a little bit wider so that you give yourself some space. So we're going to come into some reverse tabletop. So we're working the shoulders, but also strengthening the legs. Keep all parts of the feet sealed and the hands sealed. Push into hands and feet. With your inhale, lift the hips up, up, up away from the mat. Try to get your thighs maybe parallel to the ceiling. Maybe extend the crown of the head back. Exhale, slowly lower the hips all the way down. Do it again. Press into the feet, press on the hands. Lift the hips up, up, up. Lengthen the neck back. Exhale, lower all the way down. Once again, press into hands and feet. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower down. One more time, press hands and feet. Inhale, maybe get a little higher this time. Lift the back of the pelvis up away from the ground. And then lower slowly back down. Great. Come forward for a moment here. You can cross your legs, sit upright. And then clasp your hands in front of you and just rotate the wrists around. This is another nice way to kind of relieve any tension in the wrists. So rotating one way and then the other. And then go ahead and maybe shake it out. All right, I'm going to have us work another deeper hip stretch. So for this one, like I said, if your knees are sensitive, you may want to have a blanket or a towel handy to place onto your mat. So we're going to do what I like to call a little froggy stretch here. It's a nice stretch for the inner thighs, and then we're going to get the outer hips a little bit later here. So you're going to come to your hands and your knees. And then for this one, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to walk the knees wider and wider and wider, but we're going to keep the lower legs parallel so the feet don't come together. So unlike, taking a child's pose or something like this, your lower legs are parallel. So doing that, you're going to walk your knees wider. Just take it slow. You're going to come into a position eventually where your legs are like a frog. So once again, lower legs are parallel. And then eventually maybe you are going to take your forearms down. For now, you're going to keep your hips kind of right above the knees, and eventually the hips will move back. So you decide how wide you take the knees. Stop when you're like, ooh, that's too intense. So in order to see this once again, I'm going to turn to face forward. So just walking the knees as wide as you need to feel the inner thigh stretch. And then maybe forearms come down. And then maybe shift your hips forward a little bit. And then very slowly shift your hips back closer toward the feet. That's where you're going to feel that stretch. Take it slow. And then shift forward, come back out of it. And then maybe do that a few times. So if you're keeping the shins parallel and you're letting your hips shift back, 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 you're going to feel a pretty intense stretch for the inner thighs. So take it slow. Be gentle in your approach and just allow that to kind of stretch those areas of the inner legs that get kind of neglected. I'm going to turn forward in. All right, then very slowly. So be very careful about this, bringing yourself back to where we started. You'll be coming up onto the hands. And then take your time, no quick movements. You're just gonna gently draw your knees one at a time, a little bit closer, a little bit closer. Walk the shins in. And then just continue bringing it back in so that eventually your knees are back under your hips. And then set up in a tabletop, wrists under shoulders. Do a little bit of cat and cow for a moment. And then go ahead and come to seated. I'm going to have you come to sit. Kind of bring your legs out from under you. And then now I'm going to have you come into Baddha Konasana. So you're going to bring the soles of the feet together. Let your heels come close to your hips. And then holding either the inside of the feet or the fronts of the ankles, letting the knees fall outward. Inhale, sit up nice and tall, draw the shoulders back. As you exhale, slowly begin to tip over the feet. Try to keep your back flat, so no kind of hunching forward in here. So you may not need to go very far. You may be just tipping forward a little bit, keeping a flat back. If you're a little bit more open, maybe you're going a little further forward and then letting your elbows nudge your knees outward. And then as you inhale, slowly come all the way upright. Okay, so I'm going to turn to face you again. You're going to extend your right leg all the way out to the side, keeping your left heel right in front of your hip. So this leg is at an angle, and you're going to flex the foot, pointing the toes up, sitting up nice and tall. So you can place something under your seat if you need to, or maybe even kind of grab your seat and bring it out from under you. And then take an inhale and extend the arms out, sit a little taller. As you exhale, you're going to take a gentle twist toward the bent knee, towards the left. And then for today, I'm going to have you do this. Place your left hand down, raise your right arm up, and then bend your back elbow as you reach that top arm behind you. So this arm is bent and you're leaning back and stretching through this right side body. And then inhale, come up through center, arms stretched out. So your right arm is angled right over your leg. Now reach over past the foot, grab the toes, the foot, the ankle, the calf, something, and then look to the back hand, turn it up. Inhale, raise it up to the ceiling. Now stretching through that left side, sweep that arm maybe a little further over the extended leg if you need to. If you're already feeling a good stretch, you don't need to go that far. If you need to get deeper without turning towards the bent leg, just reaching that top arm and extending past it over the ear. Maybe look underneath the top arm. And then inhaling all the way upright. Okay, switching the legs. So you're going to start to bring your right heel back in, extend your left leg out, and then bring that foot really close to you. Flex the left toes, point them up, sit up nice and tall, stretch the arms out. Inhale, lengthen upward. Exhale, start to twist toward the right a bit so the arm is angled over the leg. And then go ahead and place that right hand down. Soften the elbow, turn the left palm up, reach it up, and then stretch it up and back away from the extended leg. So you're leaning towards the right. And then come all the way back up through center. Stretch the arms out. Inhale, look past the toes, reach past the toes, grab them, or some part of the leg. Turn your right palm up as you gaze at it, reach it nice and high. And then any amount, sweep it over that extended leg. And as you inhale, coming all the way upright, lower the arm down. Right. Leaning back, extend your right leg out as well. So we're going to come into a wide-legged fold here. So you can increase or decrease the amount of distance between the feet as needed. Make sure you're able to sit up nice and tall. Keep the feet flexed, extending through the heels. And then take your hands in front of your hips. And then work to sit a little taller. See if you can find a longer spine. Draw the shoulders back and down. And then keeping the toes pointing up, exhale, begin to tip forward. So you can use props for this as well. You may need to crawl your hands further out, or you may want to have something in front of you, a couple of blocks, maybe even a bolster to place the hands or forearms upon. Another option too, if you have a block or two, you can make a little tower and then kind of lean into that. So just kind of playing with it, keeping, like I said, the toes and the knees pointing up, and you're just tipping forward, getting a stretch in the inner thighs. And then slowly coming all the way back upright to sit. And then grab the backs of your knees. And then leaning back just a little bit, feel like you can gently pull the knees up and start to drag the heels towards you. So bring back onto your sitting bones. And then bring the feet onto the mat. Once again with your feet at least hips distance, if not wider. And then go ahead and lean back, place your hands behind you. This time we're just going to let the knees drop from side to side. So point them to the right and then let your left hip lift a little bit more so you feel a little stretch in the lower back. And then bring it to center and then switch sides. Maybe do that a few times. You can move slowly side to side, swishing the knees like windshield wipers. And then coming back through center here, go ahead and extend your legs forward now. So you're going to have enough distance between your feet that you can forward fold. So depending on how far along you are in your pregnancy, if you're first trimester, your feet are probably going to be a little closer together. If you're near the end and you need more space for the belly, have the feet as wide as you need, but relatively straightforward. So instead of the legs out, because it's a little bit of a different stretch. This is going to get a little bit more into the hamstrings, into the lower back by having the legs forward. And then keep in mind, you can always use a belt, a towel, a strap, something to be able to grab the feet if they're harder to catch. So once you have this tall position, do this for me. Before we fold forward, really strongly flex the feet, extend through the heels. Place the hands next to you, palms, fingertips, or you can even place hands on blocks if you want to get a little bit more height, a little more structure. And then see if you can sit as tall as you can. Really work to lengthen up away from the ground. Draw the shoulders, really kind of roll them back behind you. Keeping this tall posture, try to release the hands and stretch the arms out. Turn the palms up. Inhale, raise the arms to the ceiling. Get even more lift through the upper body. Then do this for me. Bend the knees maybe about 3 or 4 inches. And then even taller. As you exhale, tip forward just maybe 2 or 3 inches. Pause, really lengthen across the back body. And then exhale, tip maybe a little bit more. So the slower you go with this, you're going to feel a nice stretch of the lower back. And then keep doing that until you can't get any more length, any more extension. And then slowly take the hands down to reach for the feet or some part of the leg or loop something around. And then go ahead and slowly straighten the legs. Take another inhale, reach the chest further forward. And then with your exhale, now allow the back to round and bowing in. You can even draw the chin to the chest. As you inhale, slowly come all the way back upright to sit. Okay, we're going to take another hip stretch, targeting the outer hips now. I'm going to have you sit in Sukhasana cross-legged. So this is one option here, just having one shin crossed in front of the other. Another, if you know your hips are a little bit more open and you need a bigger stretch, is instead of crossing one leg in front of the other, you're going to stack one leg on top of the other. So only set up like this if you're able to keep this top knee from raising up away from the ground. So you want the ankles and the knees to pretty much be matched up. And then you want to keep the feet flexed in either variation. So whether the front leg is crossed over or stacked on top, flex the feet so they're pushing outward. And then take an inhale and sit up nice and tall. Find a flat back, roll the shoulders back. With your exhale, just begin to tip forward. And you know, it doesn't have to be very far. If you're already feeling a stretch, stay there and breathe and work to lengthen forward and keep the back body long. And then maybe take it a little further forward if you need to. Exhale, walking the hands further in front of you. So once again, exploring kind of your edge, where you need to be to get the stretch. This is targeting the outer hip. So a little bit more of the leg that is on top or in front. But if you're keeping the back of the pelvis anchored and just leaning forward, you're going to feel both outer hips get a nice stretch. Just keeping, like I said, the hips anchored and just leaning forward, keeping the spine long. Slowly walk your hands back towards your crossed legs, sit upright, and then switch the legs. So switch the leg that's crossed in front, Sukhasana, or stack the other leg on top, so you're taking double pigeon. Keeping the feet flexed. Take an inhale, step tall. As you exhale, lean forward inch by inch so that you're not just hunching over the legs. So keep yourself with a nice long spine. Keep the feet flexed, the hips anchored, and then just lean forward, walk it out. Take your time getting into kind of the deeper portion of the hip stretch. And then once you're there, once you're settled in, see if you can kind of resist the urge to fidget. It's very easy to, when we get into deeper stretches and hold them a little bit longer, the body wants to move because the mind is kind of racing. How much longer am I going to be in this hip stretch? When are you coming out of it? So just allow yourself to be here and breathe. And just notice the more you exhale and just allow yourself to be in the stretch, the muscles tend to let go a little bit more. The tighter ones tend to start to work to lengthen ever so gently. The longer you hold the stretch and the more you just breathe into it. And starting to walk your hands back towards you. Sit upright once again, and then slowly uncross. Stretch your legs forward for a moment, and then just let the feet kind of flop side to side. Windshield wiper, maybe gently bounce the knees. And then go ahead and bring the soles of the feet together, but this time the heels are not close to you. So the feet are fairly far away, but they're just sealed in front of you, and the knees just gently fall out to the sides. And then holding onto the shins, we're just going to close by doing a little bit of gentle movement, letting your body move around. Maybe start by swaying side to side. And then maybe turn that into kind of circling around your pelvis. And then make this whatever you want. You can close your eyes, maybe roll the shoulders around, maybe lift one hip at a time as you shift to the side, maybe move back. Just let your body move a little bit and listen to your breath. And when you are ready to start to slow the movement down, eventually make your way back upright to center and just sit tall for another breath here. Gently open your eyes. And then we're going to come into Shavasana, our final resting pose. So whatever version of Shavasana is going to work for you that is not lying flat onto your back. So take a hold of any props you have. I'll show you the setup that we like to do in class. If you do have these props, the two blocks go to the back of the mat in an L shape. And then the bolster lays over the blocks to create an angle so that you can lay upon that. So if you don't have these props, that's fine. You can lay onto your side. Any position, like I said, that's comfortable. You can even remain seated and just finish with a little meditation. And I'll just guide us into a nice, relaxing Shavasana for the body. So once you are kind of laying down, if you're choosing that, position your legs what feels right for you. Maybe you want to have the legs out, stretching, extending through the heels. Maybe you want to keep your feet on the mat or even kind of take them and cross them once again. So once you have a comfortable shape and you feel supported wherever you are, take a moment to just really gently release the shoulders down the And then as you close your eyes, just take a brief scan of the body. Notice how you feel now compared to how you felt beginning of class. Notice if there's certain areas now that we moved and stretched our bodies a bit that feel a little less tense. Maybe you can feel a little bit calmer. And then let your breath soften. Let it feel natural as it moves in and out of the body. And then allow each breath to calm you even more. If you haven't already, close your eyes. And then allow yourself to truly let go, to relax every muscle in the body and in the mind as you bring yourself into Shavasana. You can obviously stay in Shavasana as long as you would like. If you are ready to move on with your day, start to welcome some little gentle movements, first fingers and toes. And if you like, stretch your arms overhead. Just kind of reach back and lengthen through the upper body. And then when you are ready, start to make your way upright to a comfortable seat. So however it's best for you to get there, if you're on a bolster or on something, just slowly make your way perhaps to your side. Support yourself as you come upright. Once you are upright, finding your comfortable seated posture, take a moment and place your hands low onto your belly. And then close your eyes. Keeping that connection to baby, lay one hand over your heart. Keep that connection to yourself. Then place both hands together in front of your heart. Pointing the fingers up to your chin, sit up nice and tall. As you inhale, let your heart lift to your hands. With your exhale, gently bow your head toward your fingertips in gratitude. I would like to thank you for joining me today. Have a lovely, beautiful day. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye.